We just got off work. It's Saturday. Time to party. Gotta figure out a way to turn around here.
Turn left on Highway 15.
Turn left. You can't turn left.
This is CBC Radio 1, 88.1
Pull Huey here.
Recalculating.
This is an encore of an episode that first aired in January 2024.
Drive 600 meters, then turn left on 172 Street.
Our show today is a somewhat unusual day.
Recalculate again.
Recalculating.
Should you become incapacitated? POAs are often spouses.
Turn left on Highway 15.
They know how you decide things. It's different when the POA is your sibling. I'm with Dr. Mary Jerry, a family physician in St. John's. We're in Ormond, just outside of Frederick.
Continue 1.5 kilometers, then turn right on 40 Avenue.
Testing out my new cell phone holder for the car that I got from Temu for 14 bucks. It's similar to the one I had before.
In 900 meters, turn right on 40 Avenue, then turn right.
900 meters. What the hell are you talking about? I gotta go straight on the highway. Anyways, I got this cell phone holder.
Turn right on 40 Avenue, then turn right.
Two cops.
Continue 12 kilometers on Highway 15.
We're off work. Fucking Saturdays and work. What time is it? 3:30. Nice weather out in October. Summer is almost over and fall is approaching. I'm in Surrey, heading to Coquitlam. It's gonna take me like half an hour to get there. It's gonna be slow.
and there's just the two of us, he and I, and we're 6 years apart in age. We didn't see each other an awful lot, but we both knew that each other was there. So he asked me about my power of attorney. And
Thirsty
of course
for
I said
some
yes.
beers.
You don't give it another thought. You just look at the papers and put them away.
I know about that.
I'm gonna have to hit the liquor store,
I'd like to cover POA.
get me some moonshine.
But like my sister, Billy's health went south in a hurry. In December 2022, he caught a respiratory bug, possibly COVID. Then in January 23, he went to the local ER and was admitted with a small hemorrhagic stroke. Within 2 days, it had morphed into one that was huge and life-threatening. What did you find when you saw him in the hospital?
Well, he was in and out of consciousness. He would open his eyes, look at you, his eyes would roll back in his head.
My
And
boss wants me to
his
work
prognosis
tomorrow
was
too,
very
and I'm
poor.
like,
They said there was really nothing they could do. They expected
I
him
ain't
to pass
doing
within 3 or 4
shit.
days. And so that's what the family prepared for.
I want the
The thing is,
weekend
Billy
off.
didn't die. The family decided to withdraw
It's
IV
long
fluids.
weekend,
That triggered him to
Thanksgiving
get thirsty
coming
and
up.
wake up. After that, his condition stabilized.
He has made an
And I'm
excellent recovery.
fucking tired.
He was in hospital for 6 months and largely on the rehab floor and so on. He is able to do his own transfers. He gets around in his wheelchair. So he is able to walk a little bit with a walker, although his main mode of transportation is a wheelchair.
And his speech, what's going on with his speech?
Well, that's the hardest thing. He is able to do. He's got communication aids where he can point to things. He can text emojis and then maybe a yes or no. But that's the limit of speech.
So when did the dust settle that power of attorney was going to have a major impact on your life?
Well, when it was obvious that Billy was not going to pass away, that he was going to survive, then I knew that I had to start taking charge of his affairs. Billy owns a house, he has a son in school, 2 stepchildren that were living with him at the time, lots of bills and various
We are gonna hit
responsibilities and so
some
on.
nice
So
highways
the first step
soon.
was I got in touch with his lawyer. His lawyer told me
Love
that
driving
he
in
retired
British
and
Columbia.
never
They have nice
produced paperwork. He
highways
didn't keep
and
copies of anything. He gave
scenery.
Billy a couple of copies of the original. Well, Billy was not terribly organized in his paperwork, and a great search commenced to try to find his paperwork. This has been a real adventure in learning.
How challenging has that been?
Well, that's very challenging. Power bills and bank statements and so on, everything's electronic. It's on his computer, and of course, he's the only one that knows the codes. And
The passwords and the PIN numbers and all that.
Exactly. And the privacy.
Come on, radio,
legislation,
talk
of
about
course, makes it
politics.
extremely challenging to get the information.
Mary was
Voting is coming up in BC
and worked full-time as a family
in
doctor
7
for a job.
days. On the 19th, we get to vote.
Started to sink in.
And
In
then
addition to all of that, your power of attorney
4 weeks from now, the American presidential voting starts. So we are in exciting times.
To be able to go home or not. That was the real tough one because he very much wanted to go home.
You got that from him.
Yes, but I don't think he had a complete assessment of what his deficits really were and how challenging it was going to
Okay,
be.
gas
for him to go
went
home.
down. It was at
But
181
I think the
and
biggest
it's
issue
at
is even with the
177
home care
now.
that he would have required. He would have been alone a lot of the time. He really would have been isolated. He had a hard time accepting that at first, but he eventually understood it.
Billy understood he was unable to go home, especially after he had a seizure 5 months into his stay at the long-term care, leaving Mary to make a major decision. You also made a decision to sell his house. How did the family react?
I was concerned about that, and it wasn't easy for the 3 kids. Shane is, I think, who we were the most concerned about.
That's because Shane, his youngest son, was still in high school and, to all intents and purposes, completely on his own. But there was a group
Come
of
on,
what
what's
the hockey
happening?
moms who stepped in and brought over dinners for Shane. Then,
Don't make me angry. I don't want to start yelling at you.
Mary's plan was coming together, but she had one.
Move your asses.
It was challenging to even bring it up with Billy because of course I had to ask Billy if he would agree to this. I arranged to meet Billy and I asked 3 of his best friends to be there. And Billy became very emotional. He started shaking. He started
Uh-oh. My heart is button to button. Another light. Okay, it's green.
But at the same time,
It's green. Let's make it.
he's still able to make his own
Drive faster.
executing those decisions. So I constantly have to be reminding myself that these decisions are still his to make.
Are we gonna make it? Are we gonna make it? Yes, we made it. Saturday afternoon traffic. I wonder if it's gonna be bad or smooth sailing. I think it's better than Friday afternoon traffic.
There, as POA, she's dealing with the nearly impossible task of trying to prep the house to be sold. The detritus of a once vibrant family life is everywhere. The basketball net, the hockey net, the rackets.
It's kind of a picture of
A bit of
Come on, light.
it's a bit of disarray.
Hurry up.
You know, the other thing, Brian, that's sad about going through this is it's a snapshot of somebody's life. You know, this was a vibrant house. I mean, this is where a family lived. This is where kids went and played sports, where they went to school, where there were family gatherings. Like, emotionally, it's hard for me. Just kind of picking up the pieces, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. Life is hard.
Hard, and stressful. So stressful that for Mary, the most basic tasks are sometimes impossible. Getting into Billy's house to show her around. As Mary explains it, to let the hockey balls in, she had to fix her key made. Then she had trouble making her new key.
Now my heart is button to
the loss of
button.
relationship with your brother that you had since you were born.
Yes, for sure. The tasks and so on, I just did. I'm a family director. I'm used to being busy doing things. You just do them. But yes, there is an emotion too. And what I think about the most is it's kind of slow to be a part of it. Why does it step down to me? In that time, in the moment, here I was, I was
Oh, there's a cop in front of me. Yes, we made the lights. I gotta change lanes here.
This is not my place. For a long time, you know when it's going to do something that needs to be resuscitated. I had to participate in my sister's welfare.
In 400 meters, take ramp on right to Highway 1 West. Take ramp on right to Highway 1 West.
The sun is bright. I'm so hungry, I didn't eat anything all day. Hopefully my package has arrived. I ordered new steel-toe shoes from Amazon.
Drive 3.8 kilometers, then take exit 44 on right to Highway 7.
Yeah, traffic is alright, I guess. It's moving. That's all that matters.
Planning for the future, helping them access community support. But in general, they're in charge of the overall life of this person. Who
Come on,
in some
radio,
cases
talk
may
about
not necessarily need this
politics.
support.
For
So there can be a host of
sakes.
challenges, and it's no small task to be a power of attorney for someone.
How much do you think people understand what it means to be a POA when they read it? Yeah, they have a
1.2 kilometers. Take exit 44 on right to Highway 7.
Exit 44 coming up. I can turn in this lane.
What
We're
are some of the
good.
unique challenges facing a POA of someone with a brain injury who, say, doesn't have dementia and has a normal life expectancy? That must especially come to the fore when it comes to spending money.
Yeah, absolutely. And then often in legal cases with after brain injuries of car accidents, there's large settlements. And so there's large amounts of money and disputes over where that money should be spent. And in some cases of brain injury,
Take exit 44 on right to Highway 7.
Decision making can be impaired. And so when you have large amounts of money that need to be bookmarked for future planning, living expenses, food and all that, but then there's, that big bucket list thing that person wants. How do you counter that as a POA to make sure that these wise decisions for the future are made, but then also balancing that someone may, if it's a windfall of money and they want to buy whatever that is.
We've come to you because we're telling the story of Mary and her brother Billy. Billy had a stroke. Mary became Billy's power of attorney. What's the emotional toll on POAs?
Well,
These cars are slowing
burnout,
down.
stress. We're now suddenly making decisions not just for yourself, but for someone
Their own
else.
lane.
And then you also need to balance the individual in their needs and how much freedom they have and how much personal control they have. But then also, how do you protect them? How do you take on the stress of making sure that the decisions are made are in their best interest, even when they may not agree with
We are
that?
going on the big
making sure that she's
bridge.
caring for herself as well. But then after brain injury, even stroke,
This is a
people
fairly
have
new
increased risk
bridge.
of mental health issues such as depression, anxiety. So how do you, balancing that person's needs versus your own mental health? That can be a really fine line and can be a very tricky line for people.
What more do you think could be done, should be done to support POAs and their relatives? What can the system offer?
Access to education and information in plain language and in multiple languages, obviously, developed based on evidence that are developed from subject matter experts like lawyers, state people, life care planners, so that these resources are ready in a pinch when people need it, so that they're not having to dig through the weeds of the internet.
There's the
And having
Fraser
people
River
in their
below
way,
us.
being able to point people to whatever this resource so that people know it's there. Sometimes these decisions are made in conjunction with physicians, so having them pointing to these resources, I think that would be a really important gap that can be filled for POAs, across the sector, not just in brain injury.
The last question I want to ask you is the elephant in the room. As a POA in my day, I've certainly thought about it. And that is what happens if
My heart is button to button.
or they feel as if they're no longer able or no longer have the time to fulfill the duties of a POA.
In 850 meters, keep right onto Highway 7 East.
So I would hope that they go through the steps of finding someone else that could step up into this role that has the person's best interest, as a priority. I would hope that no one would just walk away. So that would be part of this education resource of having people have a backup plan. Because that person's going to keep on living, and there needs to be some continuation or continuity in their care and decision making. So
Keep right onto Highway 7
I
East.
think would be helpful to have for each person.
Pictures like this show
In 750 meters, keep left onto Highway 7.
Girls, Billy and Trish. And this is Shane. Now, this is a number of years ago. She must call him. What do we got here? Oh, this is the new Warm Upton Tourist Center. So you were quite involved with the planning of this then. Yeah. Billy won't be going back to the life he once knew. His sister Mary's mind works overtime trying to make him as comfortable.
Keep left onto Highway 7.
A bigger room and a bit more space for stuff. Yeah. Billy, do you like living here? Yeah. Yeah, thumbs up. Okay, great. Yeah. And Billy and I have talked about many times that we're hoping that he can get
Continue 5.3 kilometers, then keep right on Lougheed Highway.
For Mary, each month brings an endless and exhausting array of new tasks. As power of attorney, you're allowed to resign. Did you ever consider it? No. I always knew that was an option. But as long as I'm able to do this, I will do this. I'm certainly aware that for people who don't have a power of attorney, a financial institution and so on can take that over. Of course, they charge for that, and
happened to, he is the one who will live with this change the rest of his life. And that's the most important thing to remember here. So I would do it again in a second, and I will continue to do it.
Since this episode first aired in January, Billy's house sold, taking a huge weight off Mary's shoulders. Billy is still at the long-term care home, where he's made lots of friends. This summer, he got a powered wheelchair. We hear that he's burning up the sidewalks of Oromocto. And his son Shane graduated from high school and has started his post-secondary education at the University of New Brunswick. That's our show this week. Our email address is whitecoat@cbc.ca. If you like this episode, please give us a rating and review wherever you listen. White Coat Black Art was produced this week by senior producer Colleen Ross, with help from Jennifer Warren, Stephanie Dubois, and Samir Chhabra. Our
I
digital
think
producer is
most
Ruby
of these
Busa.
cars are
That's
turning
medicine from my
right
side
up
of the clinic.
here.
I'm Brian Goldman. See you next week. Breaking this hour, CBC News brings you all the local, national, and international news you need to make sense of your world.
I've ripped up the supply and confidence agreement.
Now's your chance to enjoy a free preview of Canada's source for breaking and live news.
The air raid sirens.
This guy's back windshield wipers
CBC
taped
News
off.
Network over any other Canadian news channel. The CBC News Network free preview on now.
Coming up in 5 minutes, it's Vibin'. Hey, I'm Rohit Joseph. Today on the show, we're grooving to the sounds of R&B. You'll hear from Aquila, a Toronto singer, and you'll get your dose of BC R&B talent as well, right here on Vibin' after the news.
It's the vibe for me. It's your vibe for me.
From CBC News, the world is out. I'm Neil Kumar. Sources tell CBC News that some Liberal MPs are coordinating efforts to force Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to step down as Liberal Party leader.
Yes!
The discussions taking place.
Go away, Trudeau!
Power and Politics host David Cochrane explains.
This is by far the most advanced effort that we have seen to this point. What's been happening is
Deport Trudeau! Deport Trudeau!
To sign their names to what amounts to a pledge to stand together.
Fucking
and fight for
clown,
Trudeau to resign.
narcissist
Now, it's not
clown.
another signing that will be circulated. Instead, it's a tightly controlled document, and sources I've spoken to describe it as a vehicle to secure a commitment from MPs to seek that leadership change and bind the MPs to that goal. What my sources are saying is that at least 20 MPs have so far signed this document, with others voicing their support for
Going
this
right
cause.
here.
One MP
Hopefully
who
there won't
signed
be
the
any
document told me
trade.
that the number of signatures spilled over to a second page. And my understanding is that it's from across the country. Right now, it is still very unclear how Justin Trudeau responds once he's back in Canada.
Recalculating.
The CBC's David Cochrane.
Drive 1.4 kilometers, then turn right on Lougheed Highway.
Back on October 4th, were arraigned today. It comes on charges of second-degree murder, arson causing bodily harm, and recklessly endangering life by damaging a property by fire or explosions. A mother and her 7-year-old daughter died in the fire. 2 others were injured, one seriously. Police say their investigation continues while they look for a person described as the mastermind behind the attack. Election day continues to draw closer and closer in the U.S. In battleground states, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are still in a statistical dead heat in the polls. For the holiday weekend, both of them are campaigning for every last vote they can get. Steve Futterman has more.
A bit more than 3
Yes.
weeks to go, and the battle for the White House
Let's
still
make
appears
this
to be
live.
incredibly
Let's
close.
make this
Both
live.
candidates are largely focusing on the so-called battleground states,
on.
where the winner will likely be determined. Kamala Harris is campaigning in North Carolina. Friday, she was in Arizona, talking about the impact of the election on the U.S. and beyond.
We are so important to the world. And that, as much as anything, is at stake right now in this election.
Donald Trump's advisors believe the polls
Kamala
are beginning to look
Harris,
better
another
for him.
clown.
He has been relentlessly going after Harris. These comments in Nevada.
Under Kamala,
That's
it
all
will
she
be
has is
massive
her laugh.
inflation, massive layoffs, massive tax hikes, and massive misery and depression.
Steve Futterman for CBC News, Los Angeles.
In Florida, residents who drove hundreds of miles to escape Hurricane Milton are now making the slow trip home on private highways. Most are worried about
Alright.
what they'll find when they get
We're
there.
pretty much
officials are
close to our
working on
destination, so
and they're getting some help. Here's the state's governor, Ron
whoever's
DeSantis.
watching,
In
thank you
250
for
meters,
tuning in,
turn right on Lockheed Highway.
and we'll be back
to
some
unlock
other
additional
time.
resources for the state. And this morning, we got that approved by the President of the United States.
Presidential candidate Donald Trump and others have been